Hello everyone, today's the topic of my presentation is programming, but not for the programmers. Some of you may be saying, what? Actually, it's believed that if you want to make an application, it's the job of a programmer, not for everyone. It's not something that everyone can do. But today we will make it happen, and we'll show everyone can make web applications and serve them as well. So in the agenda, I will talk about why I chose this topic, why should everybody be programming, and why only web applications. Um, then I will talk about some of the programming concepts that are needed, especially for this tutorial. And then at the end, we'll make an app, we'll run it, and I'll walk you through all the steps. So one of the reason is even the present. I'm not going to play this video. I had already played this in the class. So even the president is saying that don't just use an app, help design the app. So why is so important? Even the president is saying. Actually, the question about why programming is same as why using computers. A long time ago, people used to say, why do we have to use computers? And very long time ago, a couple thousand years ago, people used to say why we should learn reading, But we found when we learn computers, when our doctors learn computer, our teachers learn computer, it's very easy for them, in their daily lives. It becomes so efficient. They can the communication is very good and all other stuff. Similarly, if you learn programming, it's gonna help you in your daily life. Let me give you a quick example. One of my friend, he is working as a GA in an international center, and was talking about his whole bunch of file he has, Excel file, that he have to process. And he has to find the file, he has to find the people inside the file, and it'll take long time just to go through some of the records. And I asked him if he can make 5 lines of code, if he can write 5 lines of code once. It will solve all the problem. It will merge all the files, sort them in a proper way, and he don't have to go through thousands of records to find one. So those 5 lines, if learned, going to be very effective, very easy for him, and he can then focus on something very important, not just Excel files. So let's come to the next topic for presentation is the concepts. So they're a little bit boring. I'll try to go through very fast, and you don't have to be worry about anything. Just listen, and we will see them in action at the end. So I'll talk about variable very quick. Variable in actually programming are same as the variables in algebra or math. You always try to find the value of x, right? So x is a variable. What x does? Actually, x represents a value, right? And usually in math or algebra, the value is always a number. The only difference in programming and math is in programming, variable can represent a string, a name, or anything. It doesn't have to be a number. Let's go to our action window, our program, and see how it works. Okay, one thing I didn't tell you that in this tutorial, this small presentation, I'll be using JavaScript as a programming language and HTML. If you don't know about them, don't get worried right now. Just see what we're going with. I'll walk you through everything. So when you define a variable, you say var, which means variable, and then you give a name, as we do in math. X is a very famous variable. So what I just did, this is a line of code which actually says that I'm going to be using x as a variable in rest of my program, which has the value 1 right now. So this is a variable you can create in usually in programming. How it works, you usually give a name which has some meaning in it, so meaningful names we give. For example, you can say size. Get the idea? And you don't have to always store a number. You can store anything. So I can store a word, small. Okay. Let's go back to the presentation. I will talk about array in a little bit. Let's talk about if statements. What if statements are? Okay. So actually, if statements help you decide which code to run and which code to skip. And for example, I would say if size is equal to small, you may be thinking why you have equal to sign twice. Actually, when you in programming, in JavaScript especially, and when you use and in most of the languages, when you use equal to sign once, it means you are saying make this value, assign this value to this variable. Okay. And when you have double equal to sign, it means you are comparing this value. Okay. So I'm saying if this value is equal to this, this variable has this value, to be very simple, and I want to have another variable says price is equal to, right now it's 0, and I'm changing its value right here. I'm saying then price should be equal to 2. Okay, so you can change the value of a variable at any point of time. So, and then I want to have another if or else statement. So if this thing is equal to this value, then it will run all the code. It can have multiple lines. It may have 10 different lines and 15 different and 100 different lines of code, and this whole block gonna run if this thing is true. If this thing is not true, whatever is in the else block gonna run. So I would say price is equal to 0. Okay, or let's say, because we have it already 0, let's change it to 1 so we can see the difference. So right now the size is small, so if I run the program, I'm making another variable, don't worry about it, I'm doing it for a reason, I will let you know. So I will, if I run the program, I'm asking my program to stop at the end. So my program have run all these things. See, the value of price was 0, but it went through this if statement, and actually I can quickly show you how it worked. So I was at this point where my size is assigned to small and the price is not assigned. Then I went to the next step and the price is 0, and now when the values are right, it went to the next step and actually went inside that if statement and run this code. See, in the else statement there is a piece of code which got skipped because it can run either this code, either the if statement or the else statement. So this was true, so it got run. If it was not true, then we'll see this value, sorry, this value being run. Let me remove this guy, quickly change the value to medium, and we can see the difference. So if I run the code again, we'll see the price as 1, not 2, because the size is a small, not medium. So this line got skipped and this line ran. So we have the value 1. So this is the if statement. We didn't still talk about the arrays and the loops. Now let's go talk about arrays. So what arrays are, actually I had the slides, I didn't show them, I start explaining them, I think it's better than just showing the slides. So arrays are when you want to have more than one value in a variable. Why do you want it? You can make as many variables as you want, right? But think about, because we are talking about pizzas, so let's say you have 20 pizzas in your program, right? You don't want to make 20 different variables for size, then 20 different variables for price, 20 different variables for the quantity. You want to have one big variable which has all these 20 values, right? So that's why we use arrays. So I can store more than one value in an array. So now I have the first one is small, the second one is medium, third one is also medium. These codes actually show that it's a string value. So if you don't have these codes, it means you're talking about a variable. When you use variable, don't have codes. Okay, or you have a number, then you also don't have the codes. The variable name always start with the letter, cannot start with a number. So you have these three different values. So they are called now arrays. So size is now not a variable, it's an array which has three different strings. Okay, and your price is an empty array, it doesn't have anything right now. And now we can have actually 0 0 0 if you want to just do see it nicely. So and then we have, let's say, quantity. So we'll see how we use these variables. And quantity is again a array. And quantity is, let's say people have ordered 3 of the small ones, and then one of the second medium one, and the third order has 5 different pizzas, 5 pizzas. Okay, so if I run this program right now, it's gonna give me an error. Oh, not didn't give me an error. Yeah, okay, but it always gonna go fall in else, because size is not equal to medium. Size is an array. If I run it, I'll see the size is an array. Okay, and my quantity is an array as well. My price got changed to 1 because of this conditional statement. It's not array anymore because we changed it to 1. Okay, but now I want to calculate for all these 3 variables. So for the first one, if I want to access the first one, I would say size 0. So the first position in an array is 0. That's called index. So it's 1 and 2 and it go on, you know. So this is 0 position. I say if 0, size 0 is medium, then the price gonna be, let's say, price 0, because I want to set the 0, the first position of the price. I want to set the value 2, and it gonna multiply with whatever the quantity at 0 is. I hope you're understanding. So I am multiplying, if it is a small, multiply the price, multiply 2 with the quantity and put it in the price. That's what we are doing right now. So let me say if it is a small, then multiply by 2, and then I have to copy it for other sizes, because I don't know what size gonna be given. We have just, for example, this size and quantity gonna be given by someone, right? So it's not something we always define like this. We will learn in further programs how we actually gonna get it from our user. So I have then, in the second one I have medium. and third one is large. Actually, I'll say for the small I have the price maybe 2, so I'll multiply it with the quantity and put it in the price, and the medium one is 4 and the large one is 6. Okay, and if none of them is correct, put the price 0 to 0. Think about this condition, this whole small program. We can actually run it and see how it's working. Let me put a cursor right here and debug the program. You're just looking at it to understand how if statement arrays are working. You're not actually following me, you're not actually doing the program right now. I'll let you know when you're doing. So it was small, so it went through and it's gonna run the line inside this if statement, and after that it will just skip all other lines of code, because see, it didn't go to this line, it didn't go to this line. Okay, and it also skipped this line as well. Why? Because it was not size 0, which is the first position, not medium, not large, so it just skipped. So you understand how actually this if statement can help us making a big program, right? Here is one problem. So I did it for size 0 only, which is the first one, and price 0 and quantity 0, right? I didn't do for the first and second and the number 1 and number 2. Do I have to copy this, paste it, and change the numbers? It's gonna be very long program. Let's imagine about Pizza Hut. They have maybe 2000 orders online, and if they're gonna have these, they will copy this code 2000 times or maybe 10,000 times. It will be a long code just to calculate the price. So actually loops help us at this point. So now we are talking about the loop. Loop actually help us loop through these arrays most of the time, but actually they help in a whole lot of different things. So let's start writing a loop. Let me show you quickly what loop is. The for is the type of the loop, it's the name of the loop called for, and inside the for loop I'm defining a variable named I, and I'm saying the value of I is 0. Okay, and then in the for loop you have in JavaScript, in the for loop you have 3 different states. So first you tell him where to start, and starting it from 0, where to end. Now I'm telling where to end. I'm saying end when the value of I is, or sorry, you have to in the second position you say at which condition we keep running, at what are the good values. So I'm saying all values are good if they are, if when till the I is less than the length of size. So I will say length, and then I'll write I plus plus, which means increase the value of I by 1. So it's a bit confusing, I know it may be, but let me show you one thing. Let me create another variable called var abc. For now its value is 0, and so I'm saying abc equal to I, so whatever the value of I gonna be will go inside abc. So what gonna happen if I run the program? So right now I is not defined because it's defined inside the for loop. Okay, I have a small problem. Length is not a method, it's a It's a property. So I will let you know about length, why we use length. Okay. So at this first point, our I is becomes 0. Program jumps actually to this statement for a second and checks if this length of size, length means how many items it has. So it has 3 items, right? So if it is less than 3, which is right now 0, so it will run this line, keep running this line until it's less than the length of the size. So it assign the value of I to ABC, which hasn't done yet. So now it's inside, and now we can see the value of ABC is now 0, and I become 1 because of this I plus plus in the second time. So the value, whatever we have assigned, the whatever variable we have over here, gonna increase its value by 1. So can you see the benefit right now? If I have the value 0 at the first point, then 1, then 2, I don't have to write 0 over here. I can replace this 0 with I, and then it will do it for everyone one by one. Okay. So let's try that. I've removed this, and I'm gonna put everything inside this for loop, which you can do by closing the for loop right here at the end. And you don't have to always intend. We are not actually learning how to program right now. So you have this for loop. I'm gonna replace all the zeros with I. So at the very first time, at very first point of time, everything gonna be 0 as it is right now. So it will run for all the first values, then it's gonna be 1. So it's gonna be running it for all the second values, then for the third values. How cool is that? It's pretty cool. And then let me tell you what the length size.length means. Actually, length means how many values it has. So it has 3 values, right? So length gonna be 3. So this statement means actually 3. So I'm saying keep running until it's less than 3. Less than 3, what the value of is less than 3 is 2. So it's gonna be running anything this loop until it's 2. So it's 0 to 2, and that's what we want, right? 0, 1, and 2. So we run for these three of them. So let's run the code. Let me remove this, and we will see at the end if these values are set. Okay, let's check if we have our price calculated. One thing I almost forgot is right now what we are trying to do, we are checking this condition, this condition, this condition, and this else is connected with only this condition, which means if this condition is not true, do this, which we don't want to do because then it always going to be an else because none of them is large. So if you want your if statement to be all connected and select only one of the values, you say else if, like this. And then so now because of the else if, now it means run this one. If this is not true, run this one. If this is not true, run this one. For example, if this one is true, these are our else statements, so it's not gonna touch any of those, not even this one, and go to the end. Okay, now if I run my program, let me remove this guy. So I have, let me quickly check what I had in the variables. So for the small one, the quantity was 3, so I have the 6 as the price. For the price for the second one, because it was 1, and 5 into 6 is 20. Okay, 5 6 to 20. 6, it's not 20. So what we had the price. Okay, so we have um, all these value we are getting. So you get the idea about the array and loop. Now let's go back to the presentation. Now the only thing left is a function and a method. Let's go back quickly. So the function method is nothing. So we wrote this code, okay, which is helping us finding the prices for in different size of pizzas. So we actually put this whole code inside a block, and so as we had the else blocks and if blocks and for loop block, similarly we have the whole function block, which is actually is nothing, is just a name of the block of the code. It's just like a heading in a chapter. You put something, and this is something. For example, you have a definition of something. For example, definition of variable is written in a book, right? So the variable itself is a heading, and you can refer to this heading. For example, you say, okay, if you want to see what variable is, go to page this and read it. Similarly, the function is just a block of code, any block of code. The good thing about function is we can call this function. I will talk to you about it later. So, but just right now, you can just understand it's a block of code. Let's go back. Okay, I'm talking about again the same thing. Let's talk about the tool, and let's get into the real practical work, how it's happening. So let me tell you in general, if you talk about web application, as we were talking about in the very start, it means you have to set up a web server which gonna run your application. Then you have a database server which gonna store your information, and then you have to secure it from hackers. And you have a client side, which is HTML and CSS and JavaScript. Then you have a server side, which can have a whole lot of different variety of languages. And a whole lot of other stuff to take care of. But in today's application, we are using Google Apps Script. Okay, we are using Google Apps Script, and for Google Apps Script, you only need these two things: a Google account and a little bit of knowledge of HTML and JavaScript. HTML is not needed. We are not touching it in this tutorial because of the time we have, the small time we have, a small amount of time we have. But we're going to be using JavaScript, and we're going to be using Google Apps Script API. Okay. So now for the practical today, we have I'm skipping some of the slides to be quick. So today in the practical, we're gonna be sending an email through an email. This is the task 2, but we will also see how you can actually find the information about it. Now you know how to write some of the code, but how you can really do things. Before going to the task, let me share one of the slides. Yes, so in this slide, you see we have access. What is the benefit of using Google Apps Script? You have access to Google products. What does it mean? For example, one of the Google products is Gmail, right? So you can actually use your Gmail by writing the code. How cool is that? So it means you can send emails, and you can delete your old emails just by writing some code. We'll see actually right now uh, uh, how we can write a quick code, and actually you also want to see how you find more information about it. You want to do more stuff. Yes, you can do all of this stuff by just looking at just Google App Script, and the very first website gonna help you out. So this is the Google App Script website. If you look at on your left, you have references. Okay, so these are the Google products you can really access, which means you can use them from the code. How cool. So because I want to send an email, and this is the Gmail I want to use it, Gmail I want to use to send email from. So I will click on Gmail, and Gmail, they have these different classes. But we don't know what these classes means. We can start reading. It says this service allows you to send emails and access Gmail account. Okay, and it says look at the mail services, which sole purpose is to send email. That's what we want. Let's go to mail service. Okay, so now I'm in the mail service. So do you remember seeing the name of the methods? So these are the methods. The method that we have seen before right here is the method that I created, and I gave a name called my function, right? Here are the methods that Google App Script people they created, and they have a code to do whatever the name of the function is saying. So it's the same send email method. So which means it gonna do what? It gonna send the email. So I click on this send email button, and then it gives me example how it really works. That looks super confusing. Yes, it's super confusing, but this one over here is pretty easy. So you can use one function in different ways. So they have the send email with the message, and send email with recipient, subject, and body. I want to use this function. Okay, so it's a very simple example. You write mail app dot send email, then you write the recipient address, the subject, because it's the second, the position matters actually. So the first position has the recipient address, and second position has the subject, and third position has the body. Let's try this code. I'll copy this code from here and go back to my slide, the code, and if I write it, gonna run. But let me tell you how you actually get at this point, what is this environmental is and how you get it. So I'm in my Google Drive. Okay, Google Drive is free space online to save your documents. If you want to go to it, you can just type drive.google.com. You'll go to your drive, then click the new button. In the new button, you can go to more, and in the more you will see Google App Script. You may not see Google App Script. If you don't see, go to connect more apps, and then search for Google App Script. Once you have installed Google App Script in your Google Drive, you will see it right here. So we will click on this. Once we click on this, it's gonna ask us what type of application we're gonna make. This is just a sample. It will just give you a sample code as the code we just typed, just to give you an idea how to start. But in this case, we're not gonna have anything. We're not gonna want them to put any code for us. So I will just cancel it and go to change the name. So just let me say testing. So now you have the same environment I had over here. I saved the file name as English 478. This is my class. Okay, so right now you are in this environment, and you can write as many functions as you want. This is just a block of code that you can run. If I write many functions, I can run them individually. So if you have much of different type of codes, that's how you can manage. So I wrote all the code to calculate the price of the pizza in one place, and for other stuff I can write another function. Okay, so let me say, okay, I'm counting it. After the counting all the prices, I don't need this guy. I was doing it just to show you, because let me give you a reason. It actually doesn't stop over here, so I just had to write a line of code to run everything else, but you don't have to worry about it. Let me go here. I'll press Control V because I copied this code from here, right? So I have this mail app dot send email recipient address. I will put my MSU recipient address, or let me just write because it's gonna go to internet, so let me save myself a little bit. a.com, and its subject gonna be the price of the pizza has been calculated. Okay, so this is all a string. It needs the string, so we have to give them the string. And if we want to add these values, how are we gonna add these prices and everything? Okay, what I want to do, I don't want it to go. Okay, let me send 3 emails because we are writing this code. Okay, I'm not writing it inside the for loop is from here to here, so I'm writing at the end. I want to send this email once, so let me say the price of only the first one. So my body says size of the first pizza is 1, is whatever. So we wanna give the size so this is a string, right? What you can do, you can create a variable right here and give it a name as body or anything you can actually give, and then you can write everything in it. So it's going to be easier to see the code later. Okay, and then when you want to add a variable, different type of things inside a string, you do concatenation, or just you write the add sign and then you write your stuff. So I want the first price or size, and then I want to say and quantity was, and then I want to give the quantity. Oh wait, I have to close this string. Now the quantity is this. We have to this way. The first one we are only sending, so I'm typing 0. You can actually write this mail app dot send email code inside the loop, so it's gonna send 3 emails. Okay, so now I'm gonna say prices are, and then I would have price. It's not prices, but let's go. Okay, so this is now a bigger string. It has all these things in it. Okay, so I will just put this string this variable name. Remember, when you put a variable name, you don't put quotes, and you want to put a string, you put quotes. So this variable represents this whole string. Okay, so now I have these 3 things in my email. If I run the code, so it's saying I'm missing something. I have to look, I was missing a plus sign right here. Let me run this code again. This is gonna ask me for authorization because I'm accessing my Gmail, so it will ask you this application, which name is this, want to send email as me. So I will say okay. So I will run the application and I will go to my Gmail and I will go to I can see it there right here because I sent them to the wrong address, so you know they are returned. So this email got sent 0 minute ago. Says the pizza, the size is small, quantity was 3, and the price was 6 for the first one. Okay, so this is how you can actually send an email. Hope you like this small application and the presentation. You can actually look through all different methods. The good idea is to, for example, we were in before in the Gmail service. So for example, you want to see what you can do with the Gmail. Here are the methods. For example, you want to delete a label, create a label. The labels are in Gmail. Your stars, you can send email from this Gmail app class as well. So instead of saying mail app, you can say Gmail app, then send email. You can work on an attachment as well. So there are different things for the Gmail, but not only Gmail. Here are a lot of stuff. For example, for the forms, Google Forms, you can create and send forms right through the code, and on base of the information get you through the forms, you can do all of the cool stuff. One of the most interesting thing is for me is the form. Another cool thing is Google Contacts and Google Calendar. So you can actually create contacts. You can, if I go to Contacts app, so you can actually create contact group, delete contact, so you can manage your contacts through by writing this application. So for example, if you are in a program and where you're asking folks to write their email address, and they're make sure they write them in a computer, then you get all these addresses and write a quick program. Actually, you can access your spreadsheet as well. How cool is that? You can access your spreadsheet, Google spreadsheet, which is like Excel sheet, and you'll go through those email addresses, and then you'll write this code to save it as your contacts. So you can do a whole lot of cool application. Similarly, you can, I have an app for my calendar. Let me quickly show you. So it goes to my calendar, and I have created some of the spots when I'm available. So if somebody want to meet me, I will say, okay, this is the list of the time I'm available. So I actually wrote the code which updates this form in every 15 minutes. So I don't have to update it manually. I have written the code. It runs by itself every 15 minutes. I didn't talk about the trigger. I will talk about it, and then I'm done with the presentation. So I have this code written, right? And how it gonna run? How it gonna run automatically? It gonna run through triggers. So right now we were playing it at these buttons. So I wrote this function, I select the function. For example, you have different ones, so I select one of them and click run. Gonna run it. But if you want this code to be run automatically, you can actually go to this thing and you can say run this function every hour, every minute, you know, whatever you want, and you can set the specific time as well. You know, run at this point of time, so it will run at that point of time. One other quick thing is we're talking about how you're gonna get the size, you can actually get it from your email or from a spreadsheet. Let me show you how you can get it from a spreadsheet. For example, all the sizes and everything is in the spreadsheet which you are filling. The spreadsheet can be filled. Did you ever use, if you know what Google Form is, actually when you fill this Google Form, it goes to a spreadsheet and you can read the spreadsheet through the code. So if you go to the spreadsheet, you can say spreadsheet app, and then you can actually get the range of the cells, and then from the range you can get the values. They are at the very end, should be in the get values. So you can get the values of all the sheets. So that this is a quick example. So it says spreadsheet app, get the active application, and then from that application get the first sheet. You know, in the sheet you have different tabs, so get the first tab and get this range B to D4 like Excel, and then from that range you can get the values like they're doing right here, you know. So they have set the range and then get the values. So now you get the values, you can put them in a array and then go through them in a loop. You can set them inside the sheet again, send us an email, whole lot of different options. Because of the time, I'm not gonna go further from here, but if you are interested, let me know. I will help you out with any question. Thanks.